Have you ever dared to face yourself in absolute silence? No phone, no computer, no one to talk to. Just you, with your beating heart, your ever-thinking mind, your soul yearning for freedom, and 206 bones carrying you through every moment of life. Does that thought scare you? In a world where people are caught in the whirlwind of recognition, we forget how to stand alone. We fear loneliness, fear being forgotten, fear being left behind. We chase after family expectations, peer pressure, and the invisible standards imposed by society. But have you ever asked yourself, is living like this truly living? Those who cannot endure solitude will never truly be free. But if you learn how to be alone, not in isolation, but in wholeness, you will gain an invaluable advantage. You will no longer fear being without company, because you understand that you are already complete within yourself. And the wonderful thing is, when you know how to live alone, you will also know how to be happy with others without needing to rely on them. Remember, this life is yours. Don't let anyone decide how you should live it. 1. Self-control, the key to freedom. While most of us will never be locked behind closed doors, many of us are imprisoned by our own lack of self-control. When you cannot control yourself, you easily become a puppet manipulated by emotions, circumstances, and the people around you. Self-control is not just about restraining anger or resisting temptation. It is about mastering your thoughts and actions. It means not letting external factors dictate your life and not allowing the expectations of others to decide how you live. A person may possess all the money, power, and status in the world, but if they lack the ability to control their thoughts, emotions, and behaviors, they remain a prisoner of their own mind. Epictetus once said, "No man is free who is not master of himself." True freedom does not come from external circumstances, but from inner stability. If you constantly react in ways others expect, if you allow praise or criticism to shape who you are, then you have never truly lived for yourself. Living for yourself does not mean being selfish. It means understanding who you are, knowing what you want, and pursuing it with determination, without being swayed by societal prejudices or external pressure. When you depend too much on others' approval, you hand over control of your life to them. This makes you a victim of imposed standards rather than the driver of your own destiny. A truly free person is someone who knows how to say no to things that do not align with their values, who protects their time, energy, and focus for the goals they truly cherish. Vincent van Gogh was one of the greatest painters in history, yet he sold only one painting in his lifetime. He was shunned by society, considered a failure by his family, and spent much of his life in loneliness and suffering. Instead of seeking validation from others, Van Gogh chose his own path, painting. He did not let rejection or criticism extinguish the creative fire within him. Despite poverty, hardship, and being labeled insane, he never stopped painting. Van Gogh's self-control is evident in how he refuses to let circumstances dictate his life. He did not follow the prevailing artistic trends, but instead developed his own distinctive style: thick, bold, emotionally charged brushstrokes. Today, his works like Starry Night and Sunflowers are immortal masterpieces. Had Van Gogh allowed isolation and judgment to control him, the world would never have known his artistic genius. This powerfully proves that when you truly master yourself, you can create and contribute without needing anyone's approval. Self-control does not mean being indifferent to others or rejecting help. It means not depending on others to find happiness or determine your self-worth. When you cultivate self-discipline, you no longer react impulsively or let negative emotions control you. You become calmer in the face of challenges, steadier in the face of failure, and most importantly, you do not allow external factors to dictate your inner state. We cannot fully control the world, but we can always control how we respond to it. When someone criticizes you, you can choose to react impulsively, or you can remain calm and not let their words define your worth. When facing difficulties, you can choose to complain and blame, or you can focus on what you can do to change the situation. All these choices are in your hands, and your ability to manage them is the key to unlocking true freedom. Self-control is not just a skill, it is the foundation of a free and meaningful life. If you do not master yourself, others will master you. If you do not decide how to live, the world will decide for you. Remember, no one can truly control you unless you allow them to. And when you learn to control yourself, you not only become stronger, but you also find true freedom. 2. Stop looking for external validation. From a very young age, we become accustomed to seeking recognition from the outside world to know whether we are doing well or not. When we complete a scribbled drawing or achieve a high score on a test, we look forward to seeing our parents smile and say, "Well done." We crave the proud gaze of our teachers and friends when we accomplish something outstanding. That praise becomes a small flame that warms our hearts and motivates us to keep striving. All of this is normal and necessary. Society operates on connection, and no one can be completely isolated from others. However, problems arise when we become too dependent on that recognition. When we evaluate our self-worth solely based on others' reactions, we unknowingly lose ourselves. Ask yourself, if no one praises you, would you still feel good enough? If no one applauds, would you still see yourself as worthy? External recognition is like fast food, easy, tasty, but it cannot nourish you for long. One day, when there is no applause, when no one says you did well, you will fall into emptiness. You will feel like a drifting boat on the ocean, not knowing where the shore is. Stoicism teaches us that true happiness does not come from others' recognition, but from internal control. Epictetus once said, "If you are ever tempted to look for outside approval, realize that you have compromised your own integrity. If you need a witness, be your own." Epictetus reminds us that all external recognition is fleeting, and if we let it define our worth, we are trading ourselves away. Be your own witness. Be the first to say, "I did well," even when no one else does. Waiting for others' approval is a form of bondage. When you constantly ask, "Do they like me?" or "Do they think I am good enough?" you are placing the power over your emotions in someone else's hands. Look at the story of Michael Jordan, one of the greatest legends in NBA history. In high school, He was once cut from the basketball team. If Jordan had let others' disappointment define his worth, he would not have continued to train and push himself to become an icon. He did not need anyone's approval to know he had value. He simply focused on his own growth. You should do the same. If you live depending on others' opinions and praise, you will never be free. When someone applauds, you feel better. When someone criticizes, you fall apart. But if you can stand strong without anyone's validation, you become invincible. This does not mean you should ignore everyone or become indifferent. Stoicism does not teach arrogance. Instead, it teaches that the greatest recognition you need comes from within. Try asking yourself every day, are you living in alignment with your values? Are you doing what you believe is right, regardless of what others say? Do you feel proud of yourself, even if no one acknowledges it? When you learn to live without seeking others' approval, you will feel lighter. You will no longer worry about what people think of you. You will no longer fear judgment. You will understand that your worth is not in others' hands. It is in your own. And when you are ready to let go of your dependence on others' opinions, it is time to step into a new chapter, one where you are no longer afraid of being alone. Learn to enjoy solitude, not loneliness, but solitude in freedom. Being alone, yet still whole. 3. Learn how to be alone. There is a truth that not everyone is ready to face. You do not need anyone else to feel complete. This does not mean you should reject all relationships, but it affirms one thing: your value does not depend on the presence of anyone. Society often teaches us that being alone means loneliness, that if you are not surrounded by friends, family, or lively conversations, you are missing out on something. But the truth is different. Being alone does not equate to loneliness. Rather, it is an opportunity to understand yourself, to face your own thoughts, and to find joy from within. When you learn to be alone, you are no longer influenced by others' judgments or seek external validation. You start listening to yourself, an invaluable skill that very few truly possess. If you look at the geniuses throughout history, you will notice one common trait: they cherished solitude. Isaac Newton discovered the law of universal gravitation while living in isolation due to a plague. Albert Einstein spent hours alone, contemplating the nature of the universe, uninterrupted by anyone. They did not fear solitude. On the contrary, they used it to rise above. Moments of solitude allowed them to connect with intelligence, creativity, and a unique perspective on the world that no one else could see. Have you ever wondered if Newton had spent his time chasing meaningless chatter, if he would have had the stillness to observe a falling apple and conceive the idea of gravity? Think about yourself. When you are alone, do you feel restless, instinctively reaching for your phone to find someone to talk to? Or can you embrace that space to look deeper within? Because when you stop fearing solitude, you truly begin to live. This proves that loneliness is not a punishment, but an opportunity. When you are alone, free from distractions, you have time to learn, to grow, and to discover abilities you may have never realized. That is when you find your own voice, instead of being drowned out by the noise of the outside world. Learning to be alone is also learning to no longer need validation from anyone. When you understand that happiness does not come from others' approval, you begin to take control of your own life. You stop worrying about what people think and no longer chase relationships just to fill an empty space. The interesting thing is that when you do not need anyone, you become more attractive. Your self-sufficiency and confidence draw people toward you. But the most important thing is that even if no one is by your side, you are still fine. You no longer feel empty because you have found strength within yourself. So, if one day you feel lost because no one is around, remember that this is an opportunity to truly understand yourself. Take that time to build a stronger, more resilient version of yourself. Because when you can stand firmly on your own, nothing can bring you down. What do you think about learning to enjoy solitude? Have you ever experienced a phase where loneliness helped you grow? Share your thoughts in the comments below. 4. Build your own values instead of following social standards. Success is not a universal formula that applies to everyone. If you believe that success is solely defined by wealth or fame, then you may have unknowingly allowed society to impose its definition on you. But pause for a moment and ask yourself, is success truly about achieving what others praise, or is it about living a life you are proud of? We grow up in a world filled with societal standards for careers, happiness, and ways of living. From a young age, we are taught that a successful person is someone with a stable job, a high salary, and a life that others admire. But have you ever questioned whether these things truly reflect who you are, or if they are just a mask you wear to please society? Take the story of Vera Wang as an example. She was once a figure skater with dreams of competing in the Olympics. After failing to achieve success in her sports career, she pursued journalism and became a fashion editor. However, at the age of 40, she realized her true passion, designing wedding dresses. If she had followed societal norms, she might have thought it was too late to start over. But instead of accepting fate, Wang pursued her dream in fashion. She built a prestigious wedding dress brand and became one of the most renowned designers in the world. Her story proves that success has no deadline, as long as you dare to live according to your own values. If you spend your entire life chasing others' expectations, you will only become the version that society wants you to be, not who you truly are. But the scariest thing is not being judged by society. It's looking back one day and realizing that you never truly lived. That's why you must build your own value system. Ask yourself, what truly matters to you? What kind of legacy do you want to leave behind? What makes you feel genuinely free and fulfilled? These questions are not easy to answer, but once you find the answers, you will no longer be swept away by external standards. You will have a true compass to guide your decisions and pursue what is genuinely important to you. There is a hard truth. When you start living according to your values, some people will not like it. You will face criticism, misunderstandings, and even isolation. But remember this: truly strong individuals do not need the crowd's approval to define their self-worth. Marcus Aurelius, one of the greatest Roman emperors, once said, "You have power over your mind, not outside events. Realize this, and you will find strength." Building personal values means you control your own thoughts instead of letting the outside world control you. This doesn't mean you have to resist everything, but rather that you learn to be selective. What is worth listening to and what is not? What helps you grow and what only drags you down? So how do you truly live according to your values? The answer is, you must be willing to let go of things that no longer align with your path. It could be toxic relationships, outdated beliefs, or even habits that keep you stuck. To grow, you must dare to remove what is holding you back. That is the next step on this journey. And that's what we'll explore in the next section: how to eliminate the things that hinder your personal growth. If you find this content valuable, stay tuned until the end so you don't miss out on important lessons. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe to the channel so we can go even further together on this journey of freedom and self-development. 5. Eliminate things that inhibit your own development. Have you ever asked yourself what's really hindering your growth? Maybe it's a job you hate but don't dare to leave, a relationship drained of trust, yet you still cling to it, or a vague fear that keeps you from stepping out of your comfort zone. We often think that to grow, we need to add more skills, more opportunities, more connections. But the truth is, sometimes growth doesn't come from accumulation, but from elimination. Life is like a garden. For plants to thrive, we don't just need to fertilize them, we must also prune the withered branches. Yet, the paradox is that what holds us back is often what feels familiar: our stable jobs, long-term relationships, or even deeply ingrained habits. We hold on to them not because they're truly good for us, but because we fear the emptiness that comes with letting go. However, if we continue this way, we'll never have enough space to grow. Do you dare to pursue your dreams even after failing over and over again? Henry Ford once faced bitter failures. His first company, the Detroit Automobile Company, collapsed after just 2 years due to poor product quality and high production costs. Undeterred, he went on to establish the Henry Ford Company, only to be ousted from the very company he built. Many people might have given up after 2 failures, but Ford didn't. He realized that to succeed, he had to abandon old ways of thinking about car manufacturing. Instead of making expensive cars for the elite, he focused on a new vision: creating an affordable vehicle for the masses. In 1908, the Ford Model T was born, and within a few years, it revolutionized the automobile industry. If Ford hadn't had the courage to discard outdated manufacturing methods and persist in his vision, the world today might be very different. But how do we know what's worth keeping and what needs to be let go? Ask yourself a simple question: is this still helping me grow? If a relationship only brings pain and makes you lose yourself, is it worth maintaining? If a job drains you more than it inspires you, is it worth dedicating your life to? If a fear keeps holding you back, is it worth carrying with you forever? The scariest thing isn't losing what we have. It's looking back after many years and realizing we never truly lived because we were afraid of change. Life is too short to waste on things that keep us stuck. Growth never comes from absolute safety. It comes from the moments when we dare to cut loose, to move forward even when we can't see the road ahead. So, take a moment to reflect. Is there something in your life that's holding back your growth? If there is, have the courage to let it go. Because only when you remove what no longer serves you can you make room for greater things to come. 6. Overcome fear of being judged. Most of us are haunted by the thought, "What do others think of me?" But there is a raw truth you need to understand. No matter what you do, people will always have an opinion. Do you dress differently? They call you eccentric. Do you pursue your passion? They say you're unrealistic. Do you live cautiously and follow the crowd? They criticize you for being ordinary. You can never please everyone. And so the fear of being judged is an invisible prison, one that only you have the power to escape. The fear of judgment is not just a passing feeling. It is a chain that restrains your life. It makes you hesitate, compels you to compromise on things you don't want to do, and worst of all, it prevents you from being yourself. Imagine this. You have a burning dream, but instead of chasing it, you stop because you're afraid of being laughed at. You want to try a new job, but fear the whispers of others. You want to live your own way, but you worry about criticism. If you continue to live in this fear, you are unintentionally letting your life slip away in regret. On the other hand, when you learn to step beyond fear, you will feel the power within yourself. You will no longer worry about what others think, because you understand that their opinions do not define your worth. You get to live the way you want, to pursue what you love, without being bound by external judgment. History remembers those who dared to go against the majority, those who stepped out of their comfort zones and pursued their own paths despite criticism. Vincent van Gogh is a clear example of this. During his lifetime, he was unrecognized, even seen as an oddball, a failure with no future. He lived in poverty, was shunned by society, and could barely sell a painting. People around him looked at him with pity, even mockery. But he did not paint to please others. He painted because it was the only way he could truly be himself. Today, Van Gogh's paintings are worth far beyond imagination, becoming priceless masterpieces. Those who once mocked him have faded into oblivion, but his legacy endures. His story reminds us that people's judgments are fleeting, but what you create, what you believe in, that is what will stand the test of time. If you fear being judged and let others dictate your life, you will forever be trapped in the framework they impose. If Van Gogh had listened to the ridicule, he might have abandoned his brushes long ago. If successful people feared judgment, they might never have taken their first steps. And if you let others' opinions control your life, you will always remain confined within boundaries set by others. Do not let fear control you. Do what you believe in. Pursue your passion. Do not waste your time worrying about opinions that hold no real value, because those who judge you today will be irrelevant in a few years. The only thing that will remain is what you have done, how you have lived, and the mark you have left. So, what's the next step? Don't just live to exist. Dare to truly live. Don't take the easy path just because it faces less opposition. Choose according to your heart, regardless of the noise around you, because in the end, this life is yours, and only you have the right to decide it. And that leads us to a more important question. Do you have the courage to truly live? Let's explore that in the next part. 7. Dare to live truly and choose according to your heart. Life passes by quickly. Seconds turn into minutes, minutes into hours, hours into days, days into weeks, weeks into months. Life keeps moving forward. Time does not stand still, no matter how much we wish it would. The big question here is, am I living the life I truly want, or is life just passing me by? Let's look at today. What have you done differently from yesterday? We wake up, go to work, come home, go to sleep, and then tomorrow comes. It feels like an endless cycle. Will tomorrow be any different? Now is the time to take back control of our lives and live the way we truly desire. So, how do we do that? Being true to yourself is not easy. Society teaches us how to fit in, how to please others, how to behave so we won't be judged. We grow up with expectations imposed by others. Study this field, get that job, live the way people expect you to. But at some point, we have to stop and ask ourselves, is this my life, or is it the life others want me to live? Being true to yourself doesn't mean rebelling or resisting. It means listening to your inner voice, understanding your own values, and having the courage to follow your heart. When we dare to express our opinions and walk our own path, we don't just free ourselves from invisible chains, we also open doors for the right people to enter our lives. Lady Gaga didn't become a star overnight by luck. Before becoming one of the greatest musical icons of our time, she faced countless criticisms and doubts. When she first entered the music industry, she was rejected, ridiculed, and told she was too different to succeed. Record labels turned their backs on her, claiming her style was too eccentric and didn't fit the mold of a typical pop star. But instead of changing to please the masses, Lady Gaga stayed true to herself. She wasn't afraid to wear bold outfits, experiment with creative music, and perform with all her passion. She wasn't scared of being misunderstood or mocked because she knew that only by being true to herself could she truly shine. And then something magical happened. Not only did she achieve massive success, but she also built a loyal fan community. People admired her not because she tried to please them, but because she dared to be herself. Lady Gaga is living proof of a simple yet powerful truth. When you live authentically, you not only find success, but you also attract the right people into your life. One of the biggest mistakes we make is trying to please everyone. But what's the truth? You can try your best, but there will always be people who disagree, dislike, or misunderstand you. And that's not your problem, it's theirs. The right people will stay, the wrong people will leave, and that is completely okay. You were not born to be a copy of someone else, nor to live according to others' expectations. When you learn to let go of the obsession with seeking approval from everyone, you will feel a kind of freedom you never knew before. Stoicism teaches us that we cannot control other people's thoughts or reactions, but we can control how we live. You can spend your entire life trying to make everyone happy, or you can spend it living true to yourself. What will you choose? Ask yourself, if you weren't afraid of being judged, what would you do? If you weren't afraid of failure, what path would you take? That is the answer to what you truly desire. You have only one life. Will you let it pass by without truly living, or will you dare to be yourself? The choice is in your hands. 8. Learn how to forgive and move forward. There are wounds that cannot be seen with the eyes, yet they linger deep within us over the years. Anger, resentment, and past hurts, all are chains that bind us to moments that cannot be changed. But is it worth it? Is it worth carrying that burden into the future, allowing it to dim the light of new opportunities? Forgiveness is not a gift we give to others. It is a liberation we grant ourselves. The philosopher Marcus Aurelius once said, "The best revenge is to be unlike him who performed the injury." This is not just ethical advice, but a profound truth about inner freedom. If we let hatred control us, we are unwittingly allowing those who hurt us to continue dictating our emotions and actions. But if we choose to let go, we reclaim the power over our own lives. Imagine someone holding a burning coal in their hand, intending to throw it at their enemy. Who gets burned first? They do. Hatred works the same way. It consumes peace, clarity, and even the simple joys of life. When we think of someone with anger, our hearts beat faster, our breath becomes heavy, our bodies tense. Just one thought is enough to imprison us in pain. Someone once said, "Forgive, but don't forget the lesson." Forgiving does not mean allowing others to continue harming us, nor does it mean accepting wrongdoing. It simply means letting go of the burden in our hearts so we can move forward, instead of letting the past dictate our future. Forgiveness is an act of strength, not weakness. Throughout history, countless individuals have chosen forgiveness over revenge, and in doing so, they not only freed themselves, but also changed the world. A prime example is Mahatma Gandhi. He was imprisoned, beaten, and witnessed his people being oppressed, yet he did not choose violence or revenge. Instead, he led a non-violent resistance movement, persevering for years until India finally gained independence. Had he allowed hatred to cloud his judgment, history might have taken an entirely different course. Gandhi's story is proof that forgiveness does not mean forgetting. It means choosing a wise response. Sometimes, silence and refusing to be drawn into the cycle of hatred is the greatest display of inner strength. There will be people in our lives who hurt us that is unavoidable. They may betray us, speak ill of us, or take advantage of us. But the more important question is, how will we respond? Followers of Stoic philosophy do not seek revenge or external justice. They seek peace within themselves. Forgiveness is not about making others feel relieved, but about freeing ourselves from the grip of negative emotions. When we let go of hatred, we lose nothing. In fact, we gain freedom. So if you are still holding on to resentment today, ask yourself, is it worth sacrificing my peace? Could I use this energy to build a better life instead of drowning in old emotions? Forgiveness is not easy, but once you achieve it, you will realize that it is not only a noble act, but also a priceless gift you give to yourself. Living for yourself does not mean being selfish. It is a journey of self-awareness, courage, and determination. When you truly understand yourself, know what truly matters, and dare to walk your own path without fearing the judgment of others, that is when you begin to live freely and meaningfully. This does not mean isolating yourself or rejecting all connections. However, the ability to live without relying on anyone makes you stronger, less vulnerable, and most importantly, ensures that you never lose your own value for the sake of anyone else. So, after everything we've discussed, what do you think? Do you agree that living independently from others is one of the key factors for a happy and peaceful life? Leave your choice in the comments. 1. Strongly disagree. 2. Disagree. 3. Neutral. 4. Agree. 5. Strongly agree. If you found this video helpful, don't forget to hit like, share it with those who need to hear this message, and subscribe to the channel so you won't miss any future content. Watch the next video appearing on the screen now, where I'll be sharing more Stoic insights that could change the way you perceive life. Thank you for watching, and see you next time.